First things first, a massive congratulations. You did it! You got through all the interviews, you landed the offer, and this whole new chapter is right in front of you. It's such an amazing feeling, right? But right after that celebration, it's almost always followed by one big question.
And that's the big question, isn't it? I got the offer, now what? Maybe you've already got your first assignment sitting in your inbox. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to handle that now what moment and turn it into your very first win at your new company. Let's get into it.
So a lot of times, your first task is what they call a pre-boarding prompt. Now listen, don't think of this as a test. Seriously, this is your first real chance to introduce yourself, not just as a professional, but as a person, and to share the story of how you got there with your new teammates.
Okay, let's look at a pretty typical prompt. It's asking you to make a video about the documents, the negotiation or lack thereof, what you wish you knew, and then sprinkle in some feelings and practical tips. I know it can seem like a lot to cover, but trust me, we're going to tackle this piece by piece. It's easier than it looks. First up, the paperwork. Yeah, I know, it sounds kind of boring, but this is the official start. This is where it all becomes real. And talking about this part of your story shows you're organized and on top of things right from the get-go.
So how do you even talk about paperwork without putting everyone to sleep? Just keep it simple. Walk them through the main steps you took. Something like, first thing I did was carefully review the offer letter. After that, I signed the confidentiality agreement. And the last piece was getting the I-9 verification done. See? It's clean, simple, and shows you know what's up.
All right, let's get into the next part. And this one can feel a little tricky. We're talking about negotiation. It can be a sensitive topic for sure, but if your new company is asking about it, there's a good reason. They really just want to hear your authentic story.
And this is the most important thing to remember. Every single path is valid. It doesn't matter if you negotiated hard or if you accepted the offer on the spot. Your story, your reasoning, it all has value. The goal here isn't to prove you're some kind of master deal maker. It's just to share why you made the choice you did.
So this really gives you two great ways to frame your story. If you did negotiate, you can just briefly share what was important to you and maybe a key thing you learned from it. And if you didn't, that's a great story too. You can explain why the offer was such a fantastic fit right out of the gate. See? Both are really powerful, authentic narratives.
Okay, this next section is probably my favorite. This is where you get to shift your perspective a little bit. You stop being just the new hire and you become a mentor, even if it's just for a moment. You're basically paying it forward to the next person who's going to be in your shoes.
The prompt asks it directly, so let's think about it. Take a second and really reflect on your whole interview process. What's that one little nugget of information, that one little insider tip that would have made things just a tiny bit easier for you?
And remember, this doesn't have to be some grand, life-changing piece of wisdom. It can be something super practical, like, hey, just so you know, the team uses Slack for all the quick questions. Or a cultural tip, like the unwritten rule about where everyone eats lunch. Sharing stuff like this shows you're observant and already thinking like a true part of the team.
All right, let's bring it all home by talking about the real heart of your story. This is where you get to connect with people on a human level by sharing the emotional journey and some of your best practical takeaways.
I want you to think about a specific high point. Was it the moment your phone rang with the good news? Was it opening that email and seeing the official offer letter? Pinpointing a real, genuine moment of pure excitement makes your story so much more relatable. Don't be afraid to share that joy.
And then you balance that awesome emotional moment with some killer, actionable tips. What's one small thing you did that actually made a huge difference? Maybe you made a special folder on your computer for all the documents to keep them organized. Or maybe you connected with a future teammate on LinkedIn ahead of time. Little things like this show you're proactive and really thoughtful.
So, we've got all the pieces, right? We've broken down every part of the prompt. But now, how do you put it all together into a video that's actually compelling? Well, it all comes down to a super simple, clear story. Here it is. This is your roadmap. 1. Start strong with that awesome emotional high point. That's your hook. 2. Briefly walk them through the process, the paperwork, and your negotiation story. 3. Pay it forward with that great day one wisdom. And 4. End on a high note with your number one most helpful practical tip. That's a perfect story arc. And that really brings us to the final thought you should keep in mind. As you're putting your video together, just keep asking yourself this question. This isn't just about checking a box or completing a task. This is your very first contribution to your new team's culture. It's about making the path just a little bit easier for the person who comes after you. So, what's the one thing you can share that will set them up for success?
Your answer to that, that's the real heart of your story. Good luck.